Hey, 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 Nicole Roberts Jones here, and welcome to another episode of the Meaningful Work Podcast, a time I get to help you really align your career with God's plan for your life. Excited to be here and to start another series with you. So, this series is called Relationship Currency, the Fuel for Meaningful Work. And why is it the fuel? So, if we think about the word currency, and yes, I'm going in out of the gate, y'all, so depend, right? Because I'm just going right in and I'm pulling up slides. Think about what currency means. Currency is a system of money in general use in a particular country. It's circulation as a medium of exchange. Again, circulation as a medium of exchange. It's the fact or quality of being generally accepted or in use. So think about that in regards to your relationships. A system or circulation as a medium of exchange. And so when you're looking at your relationships, and I'm not just talking personal, I'm talking about at work as well, even if you're relating to the people that are your subordinates, are your assistant, and maybe other people you're supervising, I want you to understand that a relationship is a relay. The first part of a relationship is relay. And when I think of relay, as a previous runner, so I used to be a track runner in the eighth grade was the last time I ran track. And I used to run the relay race where you're passing off the baton to the next person. Now, listen, we're in a relay with God because God has passed a baton to each of us to do work here in this world. I'm not going to talk about that. But even as we do this work, it's about us having that same relay, that passing. And what are you passing? What currency are you using in your relationships? And dare I say, what currency are other people using in when they're related to you? So I want you to look at it in this terms. Either you're giving deposits or making withdrawals. People are either depositing into your life, into your career, into a project you're working on, or they're withdrawing. Now, sometimes you'll have people in your life that do make withdrawals that are also making deposits. But understand, if you go to that ATM, y'all see that ATM on the screen. Those of you, by the way, if you're not watching on YouTube, anytime I'm here and I'm sharing, I'm always going to have slides. So come on over to my nrjnetwork.com YouTube channel so you can follow with slides. So back in the day, y'all, have you ever, when you were in your 20s, because I know you wouldn't do this now, go to the ATM and you try to withdraw money and they don't let you get any because you don't have enough funds? So you've got to look at how are people either fueling who you be, fueling the work you're doing by making deposits, or if you're making too many withdrawals, at some point you will be deficient. That's what relationship currency is all about. So I kind of said this already, but there are two types of relationship currency. One is professional, one is personal. So I'm going to talk from professional first, okay? Because when you join a company or an organization, you immediately start to build relationships. You immediately become a part of a team. And it's all about the relay you're having between you and that person on your team. And oftentimes, whether it's your boss or whether it's a subordinate, it's the relationships that you build that help you create and fulfill projects. It's the relationships that you create that give you great references. Matter of fact, in one of our previous episodes, we talked about the fact that you are a brand. This ability to use the currency of relationships at work also builds your brand. So I'm going to give you 5 things to think about here. And you've heard the term your net worth is the power of your network. Your net worth is in the power of your network. So this is all about relationships. So I want to talk about 5 things here. So number 1 is about access to opportunities. So someone that is building out programs and developing people, when I can access the relationships that I have to help clients, to help students, to help the people I'm working with, it's because of the relationships I've built over time, right? So this can open doors to you for you. It can open job opportunities for you. I remember when I worked in the entertainment industry, I got the first job because I was really, really good. And that was as an intern. I got offered a job at that internship. At that internship, I got my boss, who was a producer of the show I was working on, said, "You work really, really hard. What do you really want to do?" And I said, "Casting." She made a phone call. Again, access to opportunities. Got on started working with a casting company that produced some of the best known TV shows. One of them is in reruns. It was the number 1 TV show on Fox. I'm not going to say the name because y'all get stuck on that. But even working there, The director's assistant called and asked me, did I know anybody that would love to start? He was starting a management company and they were looking for someone to kind of lead up, kind of help out. And I said, oh, I'll be interested. Got that job without even interviewing. Again, because of the relationships that I had and the person that I was being in the roles that I've had. People saw how hard I work, and I still work that hard no matter what, even as a manager, even as a director, right? Even as a CEO. So it really gives you access to opportunities. The second thing is mentorship and support. Mentorship and support are so important. So mentorship is someone that kind of takes you under their wing, kind of shows you the ropes. Support is someone that might make introductions for you, might help you move forward. And sometimes a mentor can be both. But you've got to understand that you need that mentorship. If that producer at that TV network didn't say to me, Nicole, what do you want to do? She's still my mentor to this day. I haven't talked to her in a while, but I can call her. And that was 30 years ago. Jesus, how old am I? That was 30 years ago. So it really does open the doors to mentorship and support. Funny enough, even the casting director whose company I work for, we still send each other Christmas cards every year. So again, your net worth is in the power of your network. Number 3, personal brand building. Hello. Helps to raise your professional profile and enhances your personal brand. Now, again, our previous guest, Melissa Don Simpkins, talked about this. So if you missed her episode, go back and watch it. But really, it's all in relationships. It's how you relate to people. It's how people relate to you. It's how people perceive and receive you. One of my favorite quotes by Dr. Maya Angelou is, people will forget what you said, they will forget what you did, but they will always remember how you made them feel. So that is all around your personal brand. I think I told this story on another episode, but I'm going to tell it now because it just jumped in my head. So when I was transitioning out of entertainment and when I was in grad school, getting my master's degree in social work, I was working at a comedy club in between, because I had to eat. And I ended up being a manager of a comedy room. And so there was the way that comedians got to audition new ones is they would submit their materials and come up, and they would call it coming up. On Monday nights, right? They'd have a little window every Monday night. We do 2 or 3. And so they'd come and see if they were selected. Well, this one woman every single week never got selected. Never. Never. And the reason why, if I'm going to be honest with you, she wasn't funny. So when she asked me, Nicole, I come here every week. I'm on time. I submit my materials and I never get chosen. Why is that? And so I asked her, I said, do you want me to tell you the truth or do you want me to tell you the answer that's going to make you feel good? And she said, tell me the truth. So the thing you have to know about me is I always try to honor the dignity of people's human spirit. So the first thing I said is your package is so phenomenal. It's well done. It's put together so professional. You could make money helping these other comedians put together their package. So whereas your packaging is phenomenal, you're just not funny. And so she thanked me for being honest, never saw her again. So cut to now, I have finished my graduate degree. This is maybe 3 years later. And I am working on a project with the Speaker of the State of California. And he invites me to come to his office because I'm doing such great work in the project because he wants to hear about my business and see how he can help me. So I go to my meeting with the speaker. I go to the receptionist and I say, hi, I'm here to meet with the speaker. And she says, wait a second. And she then, she says, follow me. And she walks me back to the speaker's assistant's office. And when I get to the speaker's assistant's office, try not to say people's names, she, and I guess I could take me off. When I get Hello, trying to take the slides off so you can see me. So when I walk back to the speaker's assistant's office, she goes, oh, hold on 1 second. There was a woman in her office. She said, let me walk this woman out and I'll come back. And she said her name. And she comes back and she says, the speaker's assistant says to me, Nicole, do you know who that was? And I said, no. She said, that was my sister. And she was a comedian. She said, and we had been trying to tell her for years that she was not funny. But you said it to her in such a gentle and helpful way, and you gave her a great suggestion for a new way to make money, which she does to this day. So the assistant said, you don't need to meet with the speaker. Tell me what you need, and I'll write the check right now. So again, I want you to understand that your brand precedes you. Your brand is an extension of who you are. It goes beyond just what you do in your workplace. Here I am 3 years later. I'm not even in a comedy club. I'm in the Speaker of the State of California's office, and my brand showed up before me. So I want you to get that. It's not about who you are just when a project is done. It's not about who you are on paper. That might look good because you went through all the things. You got all the degrees and certificates and all the accoutrement that would say you should get the raise. But it's how does your brand show up in the marketplace? How are people perceiving you and receiving you? Right? Number three, trust and credibility. Now, again, this goes with the personal brand too. Can people trust you? Here's the thing that I know: when you give me a project, I'm going to get it done when I say I'm going to get it done, and people can trust that. If I'm not going to meet my benchmark, I'm not going to wait till the benchmark comes. I'm going to tell you before the benchmark happens. I'm sharing that with you because that's about trust. And because people know they can trust me, it makes me credible. Do you know that when I left the entertainment industry, matter of fact, I still get phone calls, people trying to get me to work on producing or casting something because of my reputation. Even as a coach, I get phone calls sometimes that I have to turn down because I don't have the bandwidth to take on a client because of my trust and credibility. Okay. So again, your net worth is in the power of your network. Think about what a network is. If I think about it in my computer, my network is what gives me access to the Wi-Fi that I need. No Wi-Fi, I wouldn't be here with you right now. Right? But that's real. So I want you to really realize and think about how you're building trust. Are you dissipating it? How are you building credibility? If you walked out of the room, what would people say about who you be? It's like having a credit card and you go through a credit check. All they're doing is making sure that you have paid your other debt, that you don't have debt that's outstanding. Because if you aren't paying that debt, why would I give you more debt and you also not pay me? So that's what people are looking at when they want to work with you or build with you. And then also, when you are out and building relationships, the thing I love about being in a workplace is that you get diverse perspectives. Everybody comes from different places. Listen, usually your friends are like you. But when you're working with people that you may not have picked, sometimes you might even like the person on your team. But I've realized if I can let go of differences, if I can let go of, ooh, she gets on my nerves, that kind of stuff, right? Then it opens me up to learn new and different ways of looking at things. It gives me opportunities to see different perspectives on the same project or same network, right? It gives me different viewpoints, ideas, and experiences, which can broaden my horizons. And the same for you, and really inspires innovation. Okay. So these are the 5 reasons that you've got to tap into your network. Now, listen, even beyond that, as I start talking about personal, here's where the two bump together. I'm going to give you some, you guys know I got to bring in some Bible. So the first Bible verse, Luke 6:43 through 44. For a good tree does not bear bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit. So if you're a tree, what fruit are you known by? That's building that network, right? That's that net worth. Do not be misled. This is 1 Corinthians 15:33. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. Now, if you have someone on your team that's being fraudulent, it's not going to just make that person look bad. It makes the whole team look bad. If you have somebody that's stealing money, especially when the company is maybe government funded, that government agency is not going to say, oh, that just that one person. The whole agency is under inspection, investigation. And the whole company could go down because of that one person. Next one. Proverbs 13:20. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. So I said all that to say this. So I want you to think about it like an apple. Yeah, I know what apple is, so I'm gonna take that off the screen because you know what apple looks like. But have you ever heard someone say that one rotten seed spoils the entire apple, spoils the entire bunch? So let me ask you, would you ever eat a rotten apple? Nasty, right? And I have a picture on the screen, those of you that are listening in. Would you ever eat a rotten apple? Like if you saw that apple was rotten, would you even buy it in the store? I wouldn't buy it. But you've got to understand when you have people around you that are withdrawing, that's that negative or maybe they're depositing, but they're depositing negative. You're not taking the time to look at who you be and how you're dealing with that situation. Because what happens is it becomes like a cancer. If you don't deal with it, it spreads. And if you overlook it, at the end of the day, especially if you're the director, the vice president, the chief, whatever that might be in that in particular department or business altogether, it makes you look bad because you're not dealing with the thing that is not producing. And 9 times out of 10, listen, I remember I was a director of training at a company, and I had a trainer that would come in my office every time she had supervision and she'd start crying. So I would say, go finish crying and come back and we'll have your meeting. She did it every week. So over time, I said, okay, I obviously need to deal with this. So I handed her some Kleenex. And mind you, I'm a social worker, right? I hand her a box of Kleenex and I say, tell me what's coming up for you. I had to stop avoiding it. So I realized that she was going through so much personally that, again, your business, your career can never outgrow you. I talked about this in last week's episode, y'all. Right? And so because she was dealing with so many things on a personal note, she couldn't even fathom doing the work she needed to do in the division, which was paramount to us reaching our benchmarks because we were government funded. So I'm sharing that with you because once I helped her work through it, she started to excel. She was superseding her numbers. She was doing great, but I had to stop long enough to pour into her, to deposit, to help her move from where she was to where she needed to be. And part of that was encouraging her to go get a therapist too. But again, that's that seed, that one seed. And every trainer that was on my team were bothered by her because she was so negative, but she was going through something so negative. So you've got to understand all the people on your team at work relate one to the other. You as a coach, the VP, the head, whatever that is, if you're the head of that team, you're that coach. It's the coach's responsibility to give the playbook, yes, but also to nurture the seeds of your players. Come on, that was just good for somebody, right? So I want you to understand that apple seeds are interconnected, and so are we. If we were meant to be here by ourselves, and God would have put you down here by yourself, but instead God allows us to relate one to the other. At the same time, things happen to people. People have been through things. One that like that person on my team that dissipates their ability to work the way that they should. Don't be judgmental. Take some time to sit with that person and support them through it and give a little deposit. But then some people are just negative, and you got to know the difference. You've got to know when to let people go. And we'll talk about this in part 3, and when to keep them on your team, right? But I want you to understand that relationships do happen at work, right? Now, of course, we talked about professional. So now we're going to talk about personal. And many of you will say, I thought this was meaningful work, but you've got to understand people in your lives affect who you be. I'm going to say that one more time for the people in the back. People in your lives affect who you be. They affect how you show up in the world. They're either depositing wonderful things in you, or they could be depositing negative things in you that you then choose to believe, that then lead you on a negative path, like a relationship that goes bad. Doesn't mean all men are bad. It means that man was bad and he has to go. But if you allow that person to deposit things in you, and they say, well, you're not good enough, you're not going to find anybody better than me. You've got to know who you are and say, yes, I am, because God would never give me that. Hello, come on, somebody, right? And even when you're at work and you have haters at work, this is all about that relationship, y'all, right? So let's dig into personal. I'm going to give you let's talk about the power of your social circle. Then I'm going to give you the 5 players that should be on your team, right? So it influences your thinking and your behavior. I kind of just talked about this. It influences your thinking and your behavior. Your closest friends and your colleagues shape your perceptions, your attitudes, and even your habits. So you got to be mindful of who you have around you. Remember, bad company corrupts good character. 1 Corinthians 15:33, right? Second, and it impacts on your self-esteem and your confidence. You have people around you saying that, girl, you don't know what you're doing. Who you think you are? And you allow them to stay and you believe that, then it starts to make you second guess yourself. It starts to make you feel like, oh, well, maybe I'm not smart enough to do this. Decisions and choices. So listen, I remember for years, my friends told me I was being too picky. This is the truth. And talking about dating. And so I said, okay, well, maybe I am being too picky. So let me go ahead and date somebody that's beyond my standard. And baby, he was the worst. So you got to be clear and uncompromising with who you are, but be mindful of who is depositing into you. Is it healthy? Is it real? Or is it something that you need to avoid? And sometimes if you can't figure this out, this is where a therapist is handy, y'all. So you can work through this in a therapy session. Goal achievement. Listen, there have been times I remember when at 23 years old in 1993, I started a program for teenage girls at my church. Did I know what I was doing? No. But all I knew is I had this mission. I could feel my soul stirring. I knew that this was my calling, that God was calling me to this work. And when I started calling my friends, some of them said, "You gonna do what?" So those became the you're in my outer circle. Talk about that week 3, right? You're in my outer circle. The ones that said, "Oh, yes, I want to help you." Those are the people that were willing to make withdrawals and deposits. Those were people that were willing to roll their sleeves up and work with me in a field that I didn't know what I was doing. Listen, I still worked in the entertainment when I started this. It was this work that led me to do the work I'm doing now. But when you have people around you that don't even try to believe in your dreams, don't even try to give you a healthy perspective. And sometimes you might need some truth telling. That's different than a negative. You've got to know the difference, right? And then the last thing here is mental and physical health. So when people start to make you second guess yourself, you start to doubt yourself, your mental health starts to go down. When your mental health starts to go down, stress is one of the leading causes to heart attacks, depression, all those things begin to tap into your health. So I want you to understand that the power of your circle is so big. It reinforces and reflects into the person you're becoming. So this is a Bible verse. Oh, and success and failure. That's the last one. Sorry. It also speaks to your success and your failure, right? So the power of your social circle, just to review, influences how you think and behave. It impacts your self-esteem and confidence, decisions and choices, your goal achievement, mental and physical health, as well as success and failure. You will fail. You will. But there's been times that I have failed miserably that my friends have picked me up and made me see who I was so that I didn't go down into a dark hole. So you want to make sure you have people around you that can lift you up, that can be truth tellers, that can do all those things. I'm going to walk through that. But before I do that, let's talk about this Bible verse that we probably all have heard ad nauseum, Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. So you can say, so a woman sharpens the countenance of her friend, whatever way you need it, right? So the word countenance, because y'all know I looked it up, means generally refers to a person's face, facial expression, or demeanor, often conveying their inner state or mood. So I want you to get this. If iron sharpens iron, and it really speaks to the countenance of your friends or the countenance of you, then it's about the inner state of mind. It's sharpening your inner state of mind. Do you guys get that? Even if you break that down, iron sharpens iron. Now, have you ever sharpened even a pencil? And all the things that pencil has to go through to get sharpened? So imagine an iron, what an iron has to go through to get sharpened. It ain't easy and it hurts. So just because someone is honest with you doesn't mean that they shouldn't be on your team. But I want you to understand that either people are lifting you up and growing you and helping you and lifting you up, or they're tearing you down. And you've got to know the difference, right? So let me go through quickly the 5 players that you should have on your team, building your top 5. Now, some people may play different roles. I'm going to go through these quickly, but you'll get the general point. Now, what's funny, I wrote my first book that I wrote called Define Your Own Way, which those of you that are interested, you can find it on my website, Define Your Own Way, which was originally written to young African-American women. I have a whole chapter on relationships. And that's where I'm pulling all this content I'm sharing with you from, right? So I'm sharing that with you because I've seen this time and time again. I wrote that book in the early 2000s. I think it was 2007, maybe. And I've seen this time and time again still hold true. These are the top 5 that you need on your team. You need a mentor or a coach. So let me tell you the difference between a mentor and a coach. In my humble opinion, a mentor is someone you are either working with right now or you've worked with in the past that can give you some suggestions, some advice around your career path. A coach is someone you pay and you have a contractual agreement that we're going to meet every other week at this day and this time to work on this predictable result. The difference is that you don't pay a mentor. A mentor is going to fit you in when they can because they're busy. You might meet them once a quarter. If you're building something you've never built before, you're going to need more than a mentor. You will need a coach. And you've got to know when you need both because sometimes you will need both, right? Number 2 is motivator. Motivator, someone that encourages you and pushes you forward. Sorry, is a hard worker, right? This would be like a point guard on a basketball team, because if you're building your top five, right? So this would be your point guard. By the way, your mentor, your coach would probably be your coach, right? So this is what their purpose is, to keep you excited, energized, and moving toward your dreams, and keeping you motivated not to quit. Because sometimes a role at work can be, you can want to quit because your boss is acting a fool and makes you want to quit. Your motivator is going to give you tools to not quit and give you every reason to stay and work through it, right? Counselor, this is someone that listens and helps you solve problems. This one will probably be your power forward. And I'm talking from a basketball place, right? But this person is going to really help you take what's in your head and brainstorm solutions, help you navigate your challenges, and offer support. Number 4 is your confronter. This is your honest critic. This will probably be your center if we talk basketball, right? And this is, listen, I talked about the power of your team. So that's why I'm using this basketball analogy, by the way. But this is the person that's going to give you constructive feedback. They're going to hold you accountable and help you grow through truth. Again, it's all about, are they telling you this to deposit something healthy in you to help you grow? Or are they saying this to you because they're a hater and they're trying to dissipate your gift? You've got to know the difference when someone's a confronter and someone's a hater. Okay. Last role is a cheerleader. We all need someone that uplifts you and is just fun. When you've had a hard week and you want to go out with your girlfriends, that's that girlfriend that you're going to have a good time and go have drinks with. This is the girlfriend that I'm going to go sit on her couch and we're going to chat, and it will dissipate all the things I'm going through right now. Sometimes we just need that. We need someone that's going to boost our spirits, that's going to give us confidence, that's going to bring in positivity, that helps us be resilient through what we're going through. So you've got to know that there may be some additional members, or some people may play additional, more than one role in your life, and that's okay. But these are the top 5 musts that I found in the work that I've been doing as a coach, as a social worker, as a CEO over the last 30 plus years. These are the things that I see every woman, every man, every person needs in their lives, so that they have the team that deposits in them, so you can stay in the game. So you can stay true to the thing that God has crafted and created you to do, right? So with that, again, we're looking at deposits or withdrawals. Are people making deposits in your life? Or are they making withdrawals? And sometimes people will withdraw, but do they come back and make a deposit when they withdraw? Are you guys getting me with that? At the end of the day, you got to assemble the right team. And what's right for you may not be what's right for your colleagues. What's right for you may not be what's right for your husband. He might have his own separate team. You might be one player on his team. Now we can talk about the 6th man, which is your mate. We're going to talk about that in the next episode. But I want you to understand this. When you begin to look at where you are and what's hindering you, is it you or is it the people around you? Whether it's the people at work, or how you're even relaying with those people at work. I told you about that boss that got on my last nerve, and everything he did, I would fight at work. It was when I stopped fighting and started saying, okay, how can I really bring out the God in me to deal with this crazy man? This is the truth. And I started, rising above all the negative, because he knew I had a business. He was trying to hinder me from running my business, to be honest. I started to rise above it. He got fired. I've seen that happen. That's not the first time I've seen somebody get fired. When I stopped fighting him and started realizing he's not the fight. The fight is the enemy trying to throw me off my course. Who do I need to be in this place to get through this and still keep my dignity intact, still honor God and the woman he's created me to be? When I let go of my emotions and began to realize, how can I deposit something healthy in this place? Everything shifted. So my question to you is, where are you in this place, personally and professionally, looking at relationship currency? Where are you with the people that are working on your team? Are they all making healthy deposits? Are they making withdrawals? And if they're only withdrawing and not making a deposit, that's a conversation to have. Some people will make withdrawals, but they've got to bring back a deposit that equals that withdrawal. So what that looks like is, I told you about that woman that was on my team who would cry and cry and cry, and she was withdrawing and withdrawing and withdrawing until I allowed her to fully get her crowd and tease out what was going on with her and gave her a plan, supported her and encouraged her. Baby, the deposits she made after that were abundantly above all the other stuff she had been doing and crying in my office for the months and weeks she had been. You've got to take some time and look at how are you in this relationship place? Who is on your team and helping you grow forward? And as you are on other people's teams, how are you helping them grow and move forward? All right. So that's part one of relationship currency. Part two and part three coming. Part two is your sixth man, your mate. Excited. Trying to get my mate. We're going to see if he going to say yes to be my guest on that one. We'll see. If you see me by myself, that means I couldn't get him to do it. My husband is a behind the scenes kind of guy. And then part three is talking about the others that you've got to let go. All right. So with that, as always, I want to hear from you. I want to know takeaways, what you learned, and please share this because you never know who is in a place where they need to evaluate their relationship currency. All right. I'll see you for part two next time. Bye, y'all.